Today, we are going to deep dive into 3 branding mistakes that I find business owners make and don't even realize they're making it. So take a minute and come and listen.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Behind Her Brand podcast. I am your host, Kimberly DeShields-Spencer. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about 3 branding mistakes that I find oftentimes business owners make, but don't even realize you're making it. And what I'm hoping for today is that when you're looking at how you are positioning your business right now, how you're branding it, how you're marketing it, how you're positioning everything, ask yourself, do any of these things actually fit you? And if it is, my goal is that I'll give you some food for thought today to help you look at how you can make more clear steps going forward. So let's go ahead and jump in. One of the first mistakes that I find often is that the branding isn't really clear. So often we think what we're communicating is clear because obviously we're writing the content, right? We're putting together the graphics where we know exactly what it is we offer. We know the solutions that we're trying to deliver, the services that we want to share. So to us, it feels clear, but to someone else, it can feel very unclear. And so here's the best way to know if your branding is a little bit unclear. If you're finding that you are not attracting the right type of clients that really fit the services or the solutions you offer, you know your branding is not clear. If you find that people are not really responding or they're asking way more questions than they're getting the answers from your marketing or your branding, then it's not clear. Because here's the thing. I always challenge people to write your copy, write your marketing, write any pieces of content that you're going to create that represents your business from the standpoint of the objections that people typically come to you with. For example, if you are doing some type of program and people are like, is it going to work? Is it going to cost too much? Is it this? Is it that? Think about every question that is asked and then make sure when you're writing your copy, you're answering those questions before they come to you with them. That way, when they're reading the content, they're not only being engaged and hopefully in what you're writing, but they're also canceling any questions or objections they may have. And it makes them a much more engaged prospect. Okay. So look at your branding and ask yourself if it's clear. Now, here's the thing. Oftentimes I find what's on a website, it does not show up through social media. You got to make sure that if you're going to connect any of your social medias to your business website or to your LinkedIn or to whatever portal you're using for business, that you got to make sure that you're connecting the social medias that speak to your business. Okay. Because here's the thing. If you connect your personal Facebook, your personal Instagram, your personal TikTok to your business pages and people go out to check you out on social media, it will be confusing to them because they're not going to understand why you're talking about baking or family vacations if your content on your website is totally opposite from that. You got to make sure that everything is clear and everything that's connected to each other as it relates to your business is on brand. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is not enough diversification in how you're branding and marketing. So here's what I find is, say something worked really, really well for you a few years ago. I find that people keep using that over and over and over and over. Now, you may say, well, Kim, if it worked, what's wrong with using it? I'm not saying it that you shouldn't keep using something that works. What I am going to say, though, is that we're living in a very diversified kind of culture right now. And when I say diversified, I'm not meaning race culture and things of that nature. What I mean is that so many messages are coming to us through different mediums. You have TV, you have email, you have social media, you have all these new video platforms, you have live events, you have print media, you have all these different type of mediums that are out there that are competing with our attention. If you're only using social media or if you're only using your website, then you're not creating enough opportunities for your audience to get to know you. There are some people that absolutely love to read. They love to feel something in their hands. So do you have something potentially in that space? There are some people that absolutely loves audio. So they might, instead of reading a book, they might only do audiobooks. They love podcasts. They love videos that have a lot of interesting sounds to it. Are you appealing to that audience? If you're have an audience that's highly visual? Are your graphics ever changing? Are they colorful, impactful, strong? Like, that's what I want you to think about when I say diversified marketing in your branding. Because if you're not giving people enough ways to learn about you, and you're not creating enough different visual impact for them to learn from you, you can be hindering how much you can grow. Because right now people are consuming information rapidly, and they're consuming it from so many different ways. So determine the ways that fit you best. Okay. There's a lot of information and content out there that always tells you that you got to have all these different things. I am not a believer that you have to be on every single platform. You need to be on the platforms that fit your audience. Now, what I will say, and this may sound a little bit different, but just kind of hear me out. I do feel on all the different platforms that keep rising, popping up, that seem popular, you should reserve your handle. So that way no one can use your business handle across any of the platforms. Because down the road, your business model may change. Your audience may shift. So for example, right now you may not be doing TikToks. Maybe that's not what your audience gravitates towards. Maybe that's not a place where you feel like that's the best use of your time right now. But maybe in a year from now, you may say, you know what? I think I want to kind of use this platform, and I want to try to create something more diversified in this space. Well, you already have your handle reserved. So I definitely do believe in making sure your handle is reserved. And just let me pause real quick. Handle meaning like for me, it's at behind her brand. So I have at behind her brand on Instagram. I have it on Twitter, and I don't even use Twitter, but I have it on Twitter. But we may be getting ready to use it for different quotes and different things that we want to do for inspiration. So I had already reserved that. That's what I mean when I say reserve your different handles on different platforms, so that in the case that your model changes or shifts or your audience shifts, you're ready. Okay. So my last piece on this one area too, let me say this. As I mentioned, there's so much coming to us, so much attacking our senses for in a standpoint of information. You want to make sure that you're cutting through that. You want to make sure that what your audience sees is constantly fresh, new, clear, engaging, interactive. You want to make sure that they don't see the same marketing piece that you've been using, and they're just like, oh, that's just her thing. And they dismiss it, although it may be something new in terms of text and information on it. But if it always looks the same, they will dismiss it. Okay. Your eye is what initially buys. Okay. All right. And then the last thing is consistency. Branding consistency is so key. And I find that oftentimes when we get hectic, and trust me, I have fallen into this category too. When things get hectic and things are growing, we may forget to constantly keep putting information out there, which is why batching is so important. Batching your content so that way you can roll it out over a period of time. And when you have it scheduled to go out over that period of time, it allows you space to be able to work daily, not always on social media, not always on these different things that tend to sometimes take up our time. But if you batch content for social media, you batch content for maybe LinkedIn, you batch content to roll out for your newsletter. If you batch your content, it'll allow you to stay in a space of consistency. Because like I said, trust me, I have been there. I've had moments where I look up and I'm like, oh my God, I have not posted in this area for a couple of weeks. And I know that when I don't do that, it does hinder my growth. It does hinder my possibilities of maybe attracting someone who was looking for what it is that I offer. So you got to be very clear on when you can sit down and batch content so that you can stay consistent in your branding. So to briefly recap, we talked about being clear in what it is that you're offering and making sure that your audience knows what it is you're offering. And I'll add one piece to that area is if you're not sure if you're clear, ask the people that you know will give you the most honest response to that. Ask them to look at everything that you have connected to your business, and then ask them, what is it that you think that I do? I did this exercise once with a group of entrepreneurs, and we were doing our mastermind training. And I had them post to ask people, what is it you think I do? And each and every one of them got so many different kind of responses back. But very few of the responses they got back was in the area that they focus on the most. And that told them how their branding was not as effective. Because if the people that is following you are not clear what you do, that is a very big indicator your branding is off, your marketing is off, your messaging is off. Okay. So that was the first area. The second area is about creating more diversified marketing in your branding, which is very key. You got to make sure that you're cutting through that noise, creating something interactive and engaging. And then the third thing is about consistency. Those are the three branding mistakes, errors, if you will, that I find hinder someone's growth. And obviously, I don't want it to hinder for you guys. So I want to encourage you to look at these three areas, look at your branding, look at what you're putting out there, and then kind of use this as a very quick checkpoint to see if your branding is off in any of these categories. And hopefully I've given you some ideas on things that you can do to kind of create some new, fresh ways on approaching your branding. So I want to thank you. I always thank you. And I am so appreciative of the fact that you're following our podcast. We try to give you great information, hopefully that's helpful. We don't try to tie up too much of your time because we know, hey, you're out there building and growing, right? We want to make sure we respect that. But at the same token, I want to make sure that what we're providing you is helpful. So we always love feedback. Feel free to email our team at info@behindherbrand.net and send us any suggestions, content you may want to see featured. This is for you. Okay. Although I'm recording them and we're getting ready to incorporate some amazing guests in our podcast, I want you to know that what you're listening to when you come here matters to me. I want to make sure the content is helpful. I want to make sure that it's allowing you to grow differently in your business. So your feedback is definitely important to us. So feel free to send us your suggestions on topics or things that you would like to hear. You can also visit us on our website at www.behindherbrand.net. You guys go have a great day.